Um,
Part
okay.
two has begun. We're gonna do some marked hands. Who's got a marked hand?
I actually do. I don't know if anybody else wants to go, but I have a few.
You got the screen up, so take it.
Hang on, let's see. I gotta reach. I gotta. All right, let's go. Where are we here? I don't want to do this one. Sorry, hang on a second. Let's go. Let's go this one. Can everybody see that? All right.
Yeah, that's a big pot.
Okay. This is a 50-cent online home game. I know the players
Played
in
on
this hand.
What site is it played?
This is on Poker Bros.
Okay, Poker Bros. Great.
So I know a lot of these players pretty well. And so I can give you a little description here, even though they're listed anonymously. So we'll see the action here.
Oh, I like this game.
Hang on, I just want to make sure. All right, so this is our yeah, this is normal operating procedure here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is normal. And so yeah, here we are with this hand. First inflection point. What do folks want to do, I guess?
ISO.
Yeah, I would ISO.
I think like 5.5.
Oh, bigger.
Make it like 7.
3,
Okay.
4, 5, 6 and a half.
With the micro stack, I wonder if we want the ability, like, do we care to be able to
that's a very good
raise?
point.
Probably not. So yeah, I just probably make it my standard like 7.
So okay, I thought about that. I'm not going to do that because I know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go 12 and a half.
Yep.
And the reason I did that was because if I wanted to make clear that like we're playing for all of his money, whatever people want to do, because I don't want this to be a situation where I make it my standard, 7 or whatever, 8, and then he like under the gun here calls, he jams, pot's closed to me, and now
you're stuck.
I'm stuck, right?
Right.
Good point.
But if
So
you
that's why I
went,
did.
if you went to 7, let's say if you went to 6.5, he would have to put in 5.5. He would put in 5.5 more as a call. Then he would jam for another 5, and
Right.
you can't do it. So you would have to go to 5. You would have to go to 625 to allow him to do it. But more important than that, do you really want to jam ace jack over to get the 102 out? You don't. It's not like you have aces or kings.
No.
The initial limper. So he has, he might not be as weak as, say, the guy to your right. So yeah, I don't think you want to get the partial bet rule in.
So Artura's asking about the partial bet rule.
Okay.
Who wants to explain the partial bet? Partial bet rule, especially. Okay. Partial bet rule is essentially if someone this is unusual in cash, usually in tournaments, if someone makes a bet that's less than the allowed size, no one can re-raise him. No one can re-raise. He's in the hand.
Right.
In other words, cannot,
right.
not re-raise the action. There's another way to put it.
Right. So in this particular case, if we raised to 6.5 and then the $11.50 person jammed, he would jam for another 5. We had raised 5.5. He jams for 5. The action is closed. If we raised to 625 and he jammed, then he puts in 525 over that. That's a legal size. And if there are any calls, we can then jam over that, which we'd like to be able to do with a hand better than ace jack. But with ace jack, we wouldn't want to do it. So I don't think it matters. So the 12.5 seems great. Okay.
Yeah, I like your choice here, and I face this a lot in my stakes, where we have someone who's got a very, very small stack. And essentially, so your argument is, all right, I'm gonna use this larger, I'm just reiterating so I understand. I'm gonna use this larger ISO size because I'm taking away all the partial bet bullshit. And I'm making it clear that we're playing for this guy's limp stack. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, and I think we have, we have dead money here that
Yeah.
is valuable for us to go get. And we have a good hand, but it's also not the best hand in multi-way post flop situations.
Definitely, yeah.
So we have a big incentive to win it now or to get it heads up in position.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with all of that. And I would add in the one wrinkle. If you go to 10 instead of 12.5, you've just accomplished everything you just said. But when the small blind or the big blind re-raises you and you have to fold your ace jack, you saved $2.50. That the 1150 is either going to fold or he's going to call your 10 and your 1250, and that's going to make no difference. And I think the same is true for all the other players. That's my small, subtle argument. But the other advantage of 1250 is it makes it 100% clear for anyone who's not paying attention exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
going on. I've made
So we
my-
do this. We get folds, call, fold.
All right.
And before I run the flop here, so the guy that is in the under the gun spot is a pretty loose, passive fellow.
Right.
He is, I don't have the HUD stats exactly, very deep, but he's something like a 50-10 kind of guy.
Whoa.
And I don't know what necessarily he's defending here, but probably like,
You're
and
way
he-
ahead of the range.
yeah, I'm ahead. He has like a lot of ace X, that's worse than this. He has king X, lots of pocket pairs that are small and
One
middling.
quick question here.
Mhm.
Have you seen him ever tricky limp, as Jonathan Little puts it?
I don't have him as a tricky limper, but I'm sure he probably has that ability. So I mean, but he also he is more apt to be not tricky limping.
Okay.
Than
He's here to play.
he's here to
He
see
wants to
3,
see
Larry.
flops. Yeah.
He wants to see 3.
Yeah.
So then we get this. Checks to us. Oops, sorry.
I like it.
So I mean, you saw what I did here.
Yeah,
I'm betting for value here. On a board that's not particularly scary, but he probably has like a lot of like hands like king jack, queen jack, jack 10.
Queen 10,
Yeah,
Jack
queen 10,
Jack 9, all these hands can
9,
play.
10, like all sorts of hands that can call a bet.
Yeah.
Even though like the side pot's dry, like I feel like I have clear value here.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So we did that. And then he does this.
That's terrible.
It's not my favorite thing I've seen happen lately. And
My question here, my first question would be, would you rather have the 8 of spades or the ace of diamonds?
Ace of diamonds.
do I want I think I want the spade. Like I think the diamond in game, I didn't really like having the diamond. I was like, oh, because if he has he can't have like ace 10 of diamonds or ace 9 of diamonds or something like that. Like,
No, but you can now win with runner diamonds against a set.
yeah, I have backdoor diamonds, but then the question is like, what
Not worth
hand, like, so then like, I didn't really think he had pocket deuces. Like I thought that he probably would fold, he would limp fold pocket deuces. I don't think he has jacks because I think that's, even though he's a snug opener, I think he's going to open jacks for the most part.
And there's only one.
I have a jack, so there's only one combination of jacks. So jacks is really eliminated. And then it was like pocket 8s. Like that was the only, and then
Jack 8.
I don't know. I think he probably folds jack 8. I think he finds a
Right
fold
in
with
there,
that
Jack
pretty.
8 suited. How many combos of Jack 8?
There's only
suited?
one.
Heart.
There's only one jack 8 of hearts.
Yeah.
I think that maybe the first question to ask is, are you beating his value check shows? Are we ever beating value?
Does he play King Jack this way?
Could he spaz king jack? That's another
Yeah.
question that I asked. I thought it possible. I didn't think it probable, but I thought it was possible.
Well, I think
King
In
jack off
the-
or king jack suited? Cause there's
I
not
think he-
king jack suited either.
I think he has king jack off here. I think he has all the king jack off that he can have.
In theory, if you, well, our pot odds are attractive this early. I think theory says if you're beating any part of what you presume to be his value range, then you lean towards call. However, I think if there's any place where you exploit fold, it's in a spot like where you get check jammed.
Yeah,
There's
like
one-
he's like a pretty passive guy. So
Yeah, that's important.
I was really torn on this in game.
One other thing going on here, which is, and we don't know that he's thinking this far on it, which is he doesn't get to win the $40 in the pot right now with a 9-10 of diamonds without getting there,
Right.
even if you fold, because that part of the pot is protected.
Valid.
So he has a little bit less draws. If he's thinking this.
I
he
don't
takes
think he's,
fine.
I don't rate him thinking that.
Okay, then you include his draws. And you beat some of his value.
So he's passive up to this point, right?
And he's pretty passive.
So that's important. I mean, I think your player dependent adjustment here is that you fold. If he's a passive dude, then you fold. I think that it's an exploit fold, right? There he is. If his presumed range, I'm beating value that he's doing this with, I call. However, if he's a passive dude, who doesn't find any kind, whose bluffing range is now, because of player adjustment, has shrunk significantly, then we get an exploit fold.
Yeah, so the problem is for me, there's only 3 combos that are better than our hand, which is 8s. Like and then like
That's important.
to get to the number of correct
And Jack eight.
pot odds call.
Jack eight suited that you counted.
There's 2 combos there.
Yeah.
One combo of jack
One
eight.
combo of
So
jack
if you
eight.
say
sorry.
jack eight of hearts, one combo of 8. So give it 4.
4.
Like if we can get if we can say there's a king jack and a spaz diamonds bluff, that's 2 hands that we're ahead of.
No, put him on king, give him a king jack offsuit here. There's a bunch of king jack offsuit. There's more, there's 1, 2, there's 8 of those.
Yeah, and so I mean, like it just seems,
Yeah.
So I
Are we
I don't know.
totally discounting tricky limping? Are we totally discounting kings, queens in the remaining combos or aces?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's in there. He wants to
Okay.
get it. He's gonna go for that. So yeah, so I think we kind of talked this one through. I think most of your thoughts mirrored mine. I was happy with mine in game. We ended up doing this and that seemed like a good card. We ran it twice there. And there we are.
Just quads.
So
Only quads.
only quads.
So, well, at least you had outs on the second one. Yeah, I mean, I think the exploit fold comes in with, I think the way I'm looking at the situation is that player dependent adjustments outweigh combinatorics. Right? They outweigh
Well, this time he had it. That's the other thing.
blockers, not blockers. I mean, I might be results oriented.
Yeah.
I just think that, I think player dependent adjustments are very important in these spots. And when you
Yeah.
say this guy's, when you say a guy is passive and you've not seen him do this with the combo draw, that is more important than a lot of the other tools that we use.
Now, from his point of view, the check jam seemed unnecessary because he has the 8 of diamonds. The check raise is great,
Yeah, this is kind
but
of,
it seems like he could have divided that into 2 bets.
yeah, I mean, he gets to fast play this, but he didn't. He just played a
Yeah,
very naive
but
way
he-
to play.
But he super fast played it. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got a hand before we do another Adam hand?
I mean, I got millions of them.
All right, Mike, you're up next.
But if Adam's got the screen, let's let him do another one.
All right, do another one.
Right, let's see here. But yeah, let's talk about this one. This one's this is actually, so we did some discussions
Yeah.
around, playing in the blinds today. So let's take a peek at this one. And this actually was a spot that came up. So we get a limp, we get a small blind call, and we have just absolute trash. And I check. I don't think anybody's.
Exploit. No, this is a great hand. Your exploit is not to see the flop. That's the exploit.
So we get
Your
a
export's the
pretty
free flop.
we get a pretty trashy flop too.
Yeah.
It goes check.
Mhm.
With this player is a guy that he definitely has some open ranges, but I assume that he is flicking in the half a big blind like with almost everything.
Right.
Just very unlikely to fold. I have open-ended straight draw, absolutely no showdown value whatsoever here.
And you have a terrible open-ended straight. It's not just open-ended, it's open-ended to the ignorant end. So the only card that's good is the ace. The 6 is not good. You may win with it, but it's not good.
Right. It's dirty,
Yeah. So anyway,
but we are only worried about a 7 in that situation.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question is, what do you want to do here?
I want to check. What do you
I
guys-
want to check.
I wonder if I like, yeah. I wonder if we get check raised.
I think this flop is really quite good for our range
Yeah.
and less
is.
good for these guys over here. Like they have a lot of limping with bigger cards. So I bet here.
Okay.
And I think
Yep.
this is gonna like define the ranges for us, which are pretty wide. And I know that the dirty end, the ace is much better for us than the 6, but like the ace is also really good for us because these guys probably limp a ton of aces. Even this guy on the button, I don't really know him, but like in this game, there's like just guys that just limp lots of aces, right?
Right.
And they're gonna call a bet here. But the other side is like I thought I could fold out button frequently, and then I'm in position to play this hand, which is what happens.
Well, that's good.
And yeah, if we get the call here, like we're just kind of done.
Yeah.
So
And if we get check
one
raise, we're done.
question here real quick, which
Mhm.
I think is an interesting choice. So the lead on flop has the added advantage that if you get out 4-1-7-7, you now got positional advantage. And that was part of the
Yeah.
reason to don't.
Yeah.
So I
That's
think
right.
that's an important thing to think about here. And maybe something that I can see,
And
including in my arsenal.
so, and we have overcard, and open-ended straight draw here. So we get called. So there's the 7 now,
Mhm.
or which is like the 6 is now kind of problematic.
Oh, yeah.
He checks. And it's on us.
As
And
pla- Yep, as played, I'd love a bet here
sizing, Mike.
in the large end of sizing, in the large end, like half to 3/4.
Yeah, I thought like a little bit bigger. I was thinking more like B66 to pot range, like somewhere in like the 60 to 80 range probably. And I think I make this 5.
Yeah, I love it.
And we get called. And so in my head going to this river, I find it unlikely that we are up against 2-pair here. Like I don't expect the 7 really to have made too much 2-pair.
Mhm.
I don't expect him to have like 4-5 or 3-5. I think that those hands are apt to check raise on flop, maybe not entirely, but
Or lead themselves.
yeah, or lead themselves. And we didn't get raised here, so I don't feel like I'm against a straight.
Yeah,
I
and
have-
then
I think you're in a
I'm ready-
favorable world.
Yeah, I mean, this board just keeps getting better for my particular range here.
Yeah.
And he checks again. And so now I was like hungry horse in my head here.
Yeah, Hungry Horse says makes this a very large bet.
Yeah,
I
I couldn't decide if this was a big bet or a small bet.
Here's why I think it's a Hungry Horse big bet. If you have a 6, he doesn't have a 6, and you're trying to get called by a lesser hand on a 4 straight, it's easy for him to fold on a 4 straight. So you're afraid that he's going to fold if you bet big. Therefore, when you have a 6, and you bet for value, you are not betting over pot. You're betting maybe half. If you take the Matt Affleck rule, you're betting, can't bet less than half pot. And so you're betting half pot. Please call me with a pair or 2 pair. So therefore, when you bluff in Hungry Horse world, you overbet the pot.
Yeah, so my thought process was different.
Right.
I
But
said
that's world, I think. Okay.
yeah, I was thinking about it, but I'm not sure I got it right here. So I thought, okay, this guy has passive line. It's very unlikely that he has a 6x hand.
Mhm.
And so I can fold him with a small bet. So I bet on the smaller side here, like just a little bit over half pot. And I thought in my head that I could get any hand like ace 3, ace 4, ace 5, king 3, king 4, king 5 to fold with just this
Right.
sizing. Like I guarantee it if I go bigger, but I thought that this sizing would work.
So that's the opposite of the Hungry Horse rule, because if you think that he's going to fold a 3, 4, 5 to a half pot bet, then you're going to bet smaller than that when you have a 6, because you're trying to get called. So
Yeah, I think because
right,
I can essentially use the big bet and get him to fold his entire range is what I want to do here.
yes.
Yeah. Well, we went with this sizing, and I still think I was going to get a lot of folds. And he calls, and yeah, he flopped.
That's the hand you're trying to fold out, and you needed to go bigger. Yep.
Yeah. So I think I kind of joshed that one a little bit. I think I was trying to think about it, but I didn't get I'm not sure I got the right process in the game.
Yeah.
So, so yeah. Somebody, Mike, did you want to get in here? I mean, I have a couple more, but if people want to get in here, I can get out of the way.
Do one more.
All right, let's see here.
And then Mike, you're up next.
Yep.
Well, let's go this route. Let's go with this one. All right. Hang on, guys, 1 second. I gotta hang on.
Right. Then I can take the screen while we hang on. I have that ability, because I have the button that does that. You don't care about this. All right. Poker tracker. Here's a hand.
Sorry, I am back,
Welcome back.
Scotty. I'm back.
Right, you're back. All right. Take it.
All right, let's see here. All right. So, okay. So, folds to us, king, queen, cut off, clear open. We go 3 here. I can't remember these cats. We get 2 calls here. I don't know. I don't remember them. Oh, guy in, oh yes, this is gonna be against small blind here. I think check gets to us. I'm betting.
Yeah. This is a good flop for you. Good for your hand. You're in position. But I would think in theory your sizing goes down multi-way.
Yep, goes to 3. Our automatic size is 3 here. But
We are deep versus the small blind.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Deep multi-way.
Yeah. I do know this guy he's quite wide here. I elect for half pot, I believe. It's kind of my
if you're trying to learn about this situation, I suggest you do not Google deep multi-way. Going on.
But I assumed I just like I know it's multi-way here. Mark Goon just says B50 is like his default. And so I've kind of been defaulting to that. And I don't think
Alright.
it really changes any behavior much. Like I
It's
think
sim-
guys are pretty inelastic here.
Yeah.
We get called by this
Being-
fella.
And I think being deep allows you to actually make bigger bets
Yeah,
I
and or check more frequently.
but does it, decrease the value of top pair?
when you're played back at, yeah.
Yeah, so like the other side of that though, Larry, is like in my head when I make this bet, like I think both of these guys could have king 7, king jack,
Yeah.
maybe even like jack 7, and sevens for sure, maybe even jacks. But I'm gonna find that out very quickly
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
with
I
this
think
size.
your reverse implied odds are more significant with top pair.
Yeah. But we're gonna find out what's going on with their range here pretty quick with this bet. Like because of
Yeah.
the flush draw and the straight draw out there,
They're gonna
they're gonna
tell you.
check. They're gonna check raise a lot of things that are better than my king here. And you know, so we get call from small blind, fold. Dudsy turn. Dudsy turn here. He checks to us. What?
So we've already said this guy's loose, right? So he's like a 35 or like a 35.
This
Kind of
guy,
thing?
this guy is I don't have a ton on this guy, but this guy calls a ton pre-flop. So he's playing like 40% of hands.
He's got a
and
lot of potential traction.
he's got all sorts of stuff here.
Yeah.
And I thought that this was and so I think also he is capped here. By virtue of not having check raised this board, the 6 is quite unlikely to help him.
Yep.
As well as not free betting in small blind.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so I considered overbet here.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I took it though. Went pot.
Pot is the right motion. I mean, whether it should have been bigger than pot.
Yeah.
But it's not, you're not betting 4, you're not betting 9. This is. good.
No, we want to be big here. I
This
think
is
the question is going to be about my river size again. I think it's actually a very similar situation to the other one that I showed you in the blinds. So we get called now.
Right.
And I guess one question I do want to ask you guys. So if we bet pot or we bet bigger than pot, do we fold out flush draws?
Not at this stack depth.
Probably not against the players you're playing against.
Well, that
Yeah,
could be a
I
good
guess the
point.
loose guy.
At 36, you probably, at 2x pot, you probably do.
But you think 25 or 30, they're probably still calling with their flush
Yeah.
draws?
24, yeah, I think so.
Probably.
Okay. All right. All right.
20 left. You're very deep.
I was told that people don't call overbets, but we happily call pot bets.
Okay. And then he checks and now again, so this is a river sizing question, essentially.
Yeah,
Like I don't think the 2 does not help him.
no.
He
Let's
is,
develop it.
he's capped. Do we go massive here?
Not too massive, I don't think. I think you can go like be 75. But I don't think you want to go too big because then what do you get called by? Whereas you can still get called by as king X, right? When you go kind of normal,
Mhm.
at least in his eyes, what would be a normal bet?
Mhm.
I don't know, but maybe they do call with, you know, king 10, king 9, king 8, whatever other
Mhm.
crappy king X they have.
I think
Well,
you
that's-
always got the best king here. So
So if we, so I'm just trying to think like my hungry horse, if we have bluff here, I don't know, some sort of missed,
We've got clubs.
yeah,
We've
sure.
got- We've got,
8, 9 of
10, 8
clubs,
10, 8 of clubs, right,
sure,
exactly.
10, 8 of clubs.
10, 8 of clubs here. We want to make sure that a jack folds. And we would like a king to fold, but we want to make sure a jack folds. So we are betting 125% pot with our bluff. Therefore, we're betting 75% pot with our value in Hungry Horse Land, I think. 50 to 75, because we want to get called by a jack, and our bluff was not trying to get a king to fold because it didn't think it could.
Okay, I can buy that. I think I get this one right then. By that thought process. 42. And I
And he
don't know what
mucked.
this was. He mucked,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I like his thought process.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the important thing is that for me, we've already declared he's loose. He flatted. He's got king nine, king seven, or doesn't, well, so not king seven, king nine, king 10, king five suited. And he just, he's a loose passive. He's not capable of folding, reading the room and folding top pair.
Now let's talk about it, not in Hungry Horse language. Let's talk about it let's talk about it a little more in what we understand as Jonathan Little's language. Is this hand on the river a thin value bet or is this a thick value bet?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and
It's
I
a value
can't get
bet.
away from the player class.
It's a value bet.
I think I'm not, can it be medium value?
Yeah, it can. I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
It's not thick value under any circumstances, and
no,
it's
I
not.
think we need 2 pair
bad.
plus there.
Yeah, if you had to classify it as thin or thick, it's thin.
You think
Top
this is
yeah.
thin?
good kicker. No, if the only two things you can call it are that, because really it's medium.
What's better though? Like what hand does he get here with that's better?
Only traps.
What trips?
Traps.
Traps, only
tra-
traps. So his
yeah.
traps would be like 7s, 6s.
Or depending on the player class, like he may be scared of, he could have king jack and just be like, oh, I don't have, you could have pocket kings, you could have pocket jacks. It's just somebody who's like super passive and like, is like, oh, I don't know if my king jack's good here.
Yeah, someone who's got PTSD.
And his freak king deuce, but that's a freak.
Yeah, I mean he could have some freaks, but like
Yeah.
he's got if he has king deuce in this spot, that means he has king 3, king 4,
Yeah,
king
yeah, yeah,
5, king 8,
Yeah.
like which
Yeah, I mean, so when I say only traps, let's, before when
Yeah.
we were looking at, like percentages of range in the trainer,
Mhm.
and I was saying, well, obviously there was a spot where we bluffed and obviously we run into it, but we saw like 45% of the time he folds because the
Right.
majority of his range gets there. I mean, so the profitable play is what you make.
Yeah.
And we can't get caught up on the times that he has traps.
So I guess I don't have a good thought process with the thick thin value argument. So all I have is the one we already did, which is the what do you want to get called by? If
Yeah.
you want to only get called by a king, you bet bigger. If you want to get called by a jack, you need to bet this size.
Are you thinking you should have gone bigger?
a little bit.
Can you,
Yeah.
can you go back? So we did like a B75 or a B80, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 42 into 54.
Okay. So let's be like a B80. So.
Yeah.
So my question for you guys is, I mean, I think this is a lot about player classification.
Mhm.
And understanding what kind of player we're dealing with.
Yep.
And, so I think potentially, yes. I think you gotta class him as someone who can't fold top pair. And so all his lesser kings, which are probably a large part of his range that gets here, we'll probably call a bigger bet. Scotty made a good point before, where he's saying, well, what are we going to target? Are we going to target just his lesser kings? Or do we also want to target his jacks? So there is that argument too.
Yeah, I was gonna say when somebody asked, do you consider this a thin value, like a thin value bet, a thick value bet, whatever? And I was thinking if this was a good player, like if this was like some reg online, I think it'd be a super thin value bet. And I might even check behind, I'm not sure. But versus the kind of player you're talking about, I think it's just a slam dunk value bet.
And even against an unknown, we can already class it because
Like-
he is flattered in the small blind.
So, Mike, what hand are you worried about a really good player having?
I
in
would be
this spot?
worried about getting check raised, to be honest.
What value hand is this player gonna?
Value hand, I don't know, like maybe sixes with a heart. He could he could trap sevens. King
Let
Jack
me
suited maybe could, make some calls there, whatever. But yeah, I just versus somebody who's like probably more thinking, I wouldn't be super excited about making a value bet on the river.
Okay. I okay. Let me ask you, if you have sevens on this flop,
On the
What-
turn, you're doing something on the turn.
like
At
say
least.
say you have sevens or on the flop, or you have sixes
Out of position.
out of position.
Yeah.
Like I think I do see like sixes as a possibility, but man, that's a pretty thin call on the flop.
Yeah.
In this
No,
hand
it
with-
is.
And like if you have sevens, like if I have sevens on this dynamic board with the king, like I want to get so much money in.
You're certainly gonna check raise the turn.
Yeah, you guys are making good arguments. You're ranging very well here.
Right,
yeah.
I think that I may be guilty a little bit too much of PTSD here. On river. And I understand where Mike's coming from when he says, well, a high quality player here is gonna have some component of traps, but I mean, you're making a very good argument. Understanding the line and what the very top of range is gonna do in that line.
Yeah,
And that not so many people are gonna find a triple trap.
I'm not worried here about the check raise, and if the check raise comes, we have to fold. I'm just saying, I'm looking at what we're targeting for the call. We can certainly bet 60 to 70 and get called by almost every king against the player type we've described.
And I
We-
think that that's the right way to look at this. This is
Right.
value.
We
and the
might,
question is what size?
yeah, Arturo wants to bet 100, and I think 100 folds a lot of kings.
Hmm.
So like a 2x pot.
Right, a 2x pot I think is too much. And I think that the 70s to 100s fold a lot of jacks, which again it moves us back to Hungry Horse thinking eventually. Because if we did have a bluff and we went through that same logic, we would go better bluff big. Okay. So I think we've all
Right.
made our points on this hand.
Did
Yeah.
we come to a conclusion as to whether we can use a bigger size here, or are we just, it's too nebulous because it's just like we're targeting different parts of his range?
Well, you can. It's that decision. If you want to limit yourself to a king, and again, we're talking averages because we don't know that he's calling with a king and we don't know what he's doing with a jack.
Yeah.
But if you want to target the top part of if you think this hand is good enough to target the top part of his range, you can go bigger, and you have to make sure that that bigger accounts for all the jacks that he folds. I think that jacks are a big component of his calling range there. You block a king, and he check called. So that's certainly a lot of that's certainly second pair behavior to me.
That's valid point. See your point.
And then of course the draws that fold to everything, so no one cares.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Use up, Mike.
Okay, I just picked up some marked hands, not sure what the results or.
Okay.
Yeah, so, whoops. That was a spoiler alert.
Bye, Adam.
See. How we play here. Okay. raised from early position, got a call from the cutoff, who was a broken stack,
Mhm.
flop trips. Seems like a pretty standard high frequency C bet, I would imagine, small.
And also some checks because you're out of position.
Yeah, I think if you do bet, it's gonna be majority low. But
Yeah.
Small size is
Um,
preferred here.
And we saw those triple ace or the paired ace boards do get a very high frequency, even when we're out of position.
That was in a blind versus blind thing we were looking at, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we were out of position there.
Yeah, still out of position. Yeah,
So we get this.
great. Not great.
Well, this is kind of interesting. Who's got more? Who has the boat advantage?
Well, I think I do have the boat advantage. Obviously, I have
Yeah,
ace
I think
king.
you got no. I think you got no advantage.
So we continue. I know I continue here, but for what size?
That yeah. So it's hard to know. Do we know anything about this this opponent?
No, the only thing I would have to go by is the broken stack and these stats right here.
Okay. So 17 hands, VPIP of 41, right?
So I don't know that we continue here. And here's my reasoning. I don't think we get 3 streets against his jack. Again, and we split with all the aces now. He has the rare queen 10. He has it. So I think, and he has the not queen 10. So I think if we check here, he puts us not on an ace, and it's, I think our check call line is better than our bet, bet and then he folds.
Yeah, I like that thing. I like that thinking.
So we're not folding,
I
and
did
we can
bet,
always bet the river. We can always bet the river.
and I went small.
Okay. Trying to get called by
Jack,
jack
king,
and a singleton and
stupid
and a
pair,
queen.
stupid stubborn pairs.
Yeah, okay. A very bad pair. Okay.
Get called.
What do we know?
I didn't know what to do here.
Check call.
Yeah, check,
Check
see
call,
what he
check
does.
fold depending on size.
Yeah, check fold to like what? Big size? Half pot size? Small size?
Big just
Check. Well, Arcturus, yeah, you definitely have blockers here. I think blockers is a good idea. Arcturus,
I mean, a check is
same
turning
block.
a hand face up,
Yeah.
but you're turning a hand face up that's pretty good.
Yeah. I think this is high enough up to withstand a check call. I mean, I think there's a blocker value here too.
I went a third. And he folded, and I don't know if
Right.
you saw it, I just don't know if you saw it earlier. He had ace nine off. He folded ace nine.
Oh, okay.
I missed it.
That's
That's an
interesting.
interesting hand.
You just turned trips into a bluff, not knowing it.
Yeah, I guess, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I would say there was one indicator of the quality of his hand, which is even though over just 17 hands, he's already up to 41. VPIP.
yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe he's dumb enough to call with an ace, not thinking that it's, he's just chopping with other aces, but
Yeah.
and losing to a lot of them.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, that was that one. Okay. Again,
We
I
also
don't-
want to leave time for skate, but I've got plenty of time on it, you guys.
that is not, and that hand is not solved. Is that hand? That hand
No,
is
he-
solvable with a certain rake.
he called from the cutoff.
Yeah.
All right, we got tens.
Oh, we have that in NL 500. He has calls.
Well, he's got, yeah, that kicker should never be there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a hand he would that solver would
Okay.
never have.
All right, so there you go.
Okay, so but yeah, so we raise the tens and we get called in a few different spots. Pretty natural check for just about anything.
I
Agreed.
agree.
Half pot and a call,
Fold.
just easy fold. We
Fold,
have,
even with the 10 of clubs, fold,
Oh, wow.
my
Okay.
opinion.
All right. I think you're right. I think you're right. I may be, yeah, I think stationing. Is it stationing, you call it? Is this for you, Scotty? Is this marginal or is this clear?
This is an easy fold for me. It's,
Okay.
it's not always gonna be right, but it's easy for one of them to have a queen and you have very few outs. One of your backdoor outs is to a 10 high flush against two players, which is not guaranteed to be good. I mean,
Yeah.
you're confident that it's good. You're never gonna have a raising hand here. It is rare, but when you get your set on the turn, there are straights that beat you. That one of them could have. You could see somebody calling with a jack king here. I'm not saying they did. And there are two people, it's just Joey. There are two people interested and the first guy is quite interested. And the second guy's willing to call with you behind.
Yeah, okay. I think
Folding the
you got
best hand
excellent
sometimes.
points here.
Oh, so for the number of times you fold the best hand, it's not gonna be the best hand by the river by, a reasonable amount. Not a great amount. You block the club, not a great
Well,
amount.
arguably enough to make it not a profitable.
Right.
club.
And when you get better, which is very rare that you improve, when you improve, don't always improve to the best hand.
yep,
So,
good points, good points. I obviously you see I called, because I haven't overpaired to the 9, plus the back doors that we were talking about that you say are pretty dirty, so is definitely true. So yeah, I think at the time I was pretty torn, and I don't know if there was anything about these two that made me say, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna go. I don't remember that. There might have been. But we did call and we did actually improve
right.
theoretically. Another half pot bet and a call. So here I was really torn.
This is
Yeah.
hard. I still fold.
Yeah, I think that we now can fold.
drawing
I
to a
think
10
after you
high
see sustained aggression and a second call, I think I can get out.
Super fold.
And
Yep.
when you get there with your 10, you're now not at, you don't think you're beat, but you can be. And when you get there with your flush, you can never raise.
So
You're
I
drawing,
think
to a hand that's not allowed to raise. Blech.
I think the bluffing frequency of P1 here is very low.
Yeah, right.
Well,
But I
and
did do
P2
that. I'm
And
going
if
against.
P2 is, and if P2 is playing badly with a 10 jack, you block that. That's sort of the best
that's a
thing.
valid point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you get the overfold. It's not even, I think you get the full on time.
Yeah.
I mean, there is, I think, some validity to the call on flop. Because I think often when people stab here in this middle sandwich position, you check through on turn and you have more chance to realize your equity. But now I think it's a pretty black and white flip.
Yeah. Yep, I'm with you. Yeah, I think this was a pretty loose call. And again, maybe I had something about these two, whoever, I don't remember. But in a vacuum, you're right. This should be a fold.
Yeah.
And river,
Wow.
I mean, this is the easiest of them all, right?
yeah, you have to fold here and
Yeah.
and you never find out. There you go.
So he
And-
had deuces.
Look
What?
at that.
Yeah, it might have been that I got here because of this player. That's what I'm thinking, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Limp fold. Yeah. He was limping shit on and
That's crazy.
what a hand to have, man.
But there was a third guy in there.
Skate, what did you just send us? You just sent us a BMP
image.
file.
Oh, actually, it's just a virus.
Oh, thanks.
No,
No,
thank you.
no, it's I was trying to send a GIF image of of what I was talking about.
Okay. All right. Here, I'll
Yeah.
do one. Here. Oh, Skate, do you have one?
Yeah, I have like two. You go ahead if you want.
Okay, I'll do one, and I may leave you guys and leave you with the room. All right, let's see what this is.
Yep.
How did this happen? Oh, this is cool. This is gonna be blind versus blind, just like we talked about. All right, fold, king seven, that is a
Share,
blind hand.
share.
Oh, share, that would be good. There we go. Share. There we go. King seven in the small blind, that's a raisable hand. Get called. Flop a king. This is a long time ago before I knew that there was a such thing as check calling and check raising. So I just bet it, get
Yeah,
called, the deuce. At this point, now when I look at this, I should be looking at this and saying, I'm not worried about giving a free card to a flush draw. I'm worried about my kicker of my king. Once I got called, this hand is now marginally made, and I should go to
In
check.
theory, yes, even in this
That's
wide range versus range
right.
configuration.
That's what this should be. So, oh, look at how well I did that. Check, check. And then the 8. And now I'm absolutely free to bet. For value, and it's thin value because he has better kings, but he also has jacks. I want to get called by a jack. So I want to be betting less than pot, more than a third pot. So half pot seems really good. 7, that's close enough. All right. And he had. Huh?
of course. I mean, it's standard.
Okay. There you go.
Crazy.
All right. That's why that hand is there. Okay. I will give it up now.
Skate, dazzle us.
All right, you guys ready? You guys want to see the bluffs first, the value, or the value bluffs?
Don't tell us,
Okay.
but I like value bluffing. I like
Right.
that.
Leanne has left us. Leanne, I hope you come back soon.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to share.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
You can
Hello.
see it's hit, don't send.
I can't do anything.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm drawing on the screen. No wonder.
There you go. We can see you draw on the screen. And have fun, you guys. I'm gonna have to go to work now, but I'll leave the room open for you.
All right, thank you, Scotty.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Scotty.
There's a very good soccer game going on free television, by the way, guys. The Euro semifinal, and Spain is up 2-1, lots of goals. All right, so you can, okay, here we go. All right, beginning of hand, right? So I think you've turned on the drawing, which is.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, Skate, go click on, uh, save hand here or replay. Click on replay. On the right,
Upper
yeah.
hand corner, yeah.
There you go. Now you can step through it.
Okay, great. Now let me. Okay, I got it. Okay, turned off the mute thing. Okay, great. So how do I take off this thing, or you guys don't care?
That's fine. You can leave it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right. So this hand is supposed to be actually the button post. Well, he actually straddles, and this. Okay, so the button. Okay, there we go. Stacks are right. Great. So, yeah, the dealer straddles, small blind folds. I call as well as UTG and the cutoff, so it's gonna be four-handed, you'll see. So I had to put this in as a limp, so we could,
What's your
Okay.
hand?
it's, yeah, I typed here, it's ace, no, 8, 6 of spades. I put in there, okay. So it's swing the flop for some reason, so yeah, so the flop is. Okay, there we go. So, there we go, okay, yeah, so, as I said, the hand is, yeah, the dealer, straddles, small blind folds. I call as well as next to act, folds around to cut off four-handed. Okay, so then, I don't know why it's showing it like this, but let me read on my notes for the hands. There you go. So, all right. So pre-flop, he makes it 5. Excuse me. Action is he makes it 5 pre-flop. I don't know why it's not showing here, but 5. I call. UTG makes it 15. Cutoff calls, and it's four-handed. Sorry, I don't know how to work this.
So was there uh, button made it 5.
Yeah, they
Pre-flop.
straddle.
Alright,
small
so
blind.
then once he straddles pre,
Mhm.
he has obviously gained positional damage. And so what's our flop?
Yeah, so just to correct my on the action, so straddle, fold, call, raise 15, folds around to cut off, which calls, as well as button.
Okay.
And this the
And
flop
so
here.
you obviously called the $15 raise.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
so I don't know, let's just talk about hand class. Is this hand good enough to call free?
I mean, I would have folded, but I don't play straddles and I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't, so you're playing out of position with a suited gapper. And you're having to put in 13 to play it, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
So
initially,
13 is what? 13 is 6.5 big blinds. Right?
true, but also take into account that I called the 5 pre-flop initially, because I mean, I don't know why at the moment, but this was a while ago.
Okay.
To call, it was 3 more to call. I called, so
Okay.
hoping that everyone else would call, and
But you
then
gotta,
yep.
this hand does have, I think, let's talk about the properties of this kind of hand. So this hand does have good properties to take multi-way. But pre-flop, I'm not sure if it's got enough to call a re-raise. So you've got $5 in here.
Mhm.
So you have to add another 10. You have to add another, so you've got like 3.5. You've got 2.5 big blinds in. And you've gotta throw in another 5 in order to see a flop, right? We're just talking dollars.
Yes.
You've got $5 in, you've gotta throw another 10 in. So
Mhm. Yep.
I think this hand is a muck tree.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because it does have properties that allow it to have value multi-way, but it just doesn't have enough.
And Skate, I don't think you should even completed the straddle. Like, I think you should have just folded, open folded.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like a gambly table at the time. I don't know. Because maybe my hand does have reverse implied properties, even if I do hit a flush draw or the flush, it might
It
be.
has the opposite. It has implied properties. This is a hand that has. I think you can use the term speculative, right? You're wanting to hit a straight and you're wanting to hit a flush.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
the value of this hand. This hand has implied odds, but it's just not good enough with the amount of investment you have to make for it. Think of it as an investment. Your investment is not gonna have a sufficient return with the properties of this hand. But you know, let's also give you some examples of hands that might have the value for investing free.
I think
I'm not as familiar with straddles, but I think maybe your hands that are investing free and you think it's gonna go 4 ways are hands that have very clear implied odds, and that goes more towards low pairs because you're set money, and goes more towards lower suited connect, like 7-6-5-4. I think 7-6 and 5-4 are the two.
What about 9-10 or Jack-10 even suited?
So then you get into this weird place with nine that they begin to interact with the other people's ranges multi-way in a bad way. Because a pair of tens or a pair of nines that you make are worth a lot less because there's a higher probability that people are gonna have ace 10 or king 10 suited or king ace 9, right? Or, you know, queen 9 suited. And so you're gonna have a kicker problem. But then when you go to this part of the range, which is below that, your pairs are clean. In the likelihood that you do, in the case you do hit a pair and you are able to navigate to showdown, your pairs are clean. Like a 5, like a low board with a 5, like a 5, 3, 6, 8, whatever. 5, 3, 6, 8, whatever. Yeah, it's just like that's a cleaner pair. So that you know
Yeah.
that's my argument as to why you can muck this, but you can maybe play a suited connector in this region.
Yeah, I think I could get on board with that. Especially my position, you know, have like second worst position, right?
And you're out of position, which is not good. Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah,
you're probably playing like a high rate game. Like, well, so what is it like a 10% rate game with like a 5 big blind or 10 big blind? 5 big blind or 10 big blind limit.
yeah, it's 1-2, yeah, something like that. Standard.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you spend some time looking at what our ranges are like here in GTO Wizard. So we're just playing this very boring tight game. It's boring. It's a boring tight game when we have high rate. So we need hands that when they play a hand, they're gonna win a lot. And the other property they want is that when they play, they make monsters.
Yeah, suited aces, suited kings, things like that.
And then multi-way, you know, maybe you begin to play some low suited connectors and you play low pairs, middle pair. And you set them up.
Yeah. Well, good thing.
So I gave you a pre-thought lecture but let's go through the hand. And I'll stop talking.
No, yeah. So let's see if this is gonna actually work. I'm gonna try to do it this way to see. Okay, so.
I gotta go in a couple minutes, guys.
Make sure my notes are correct.
But I'm gonna see
Okay.
this through this hand.
Yeah, so the
For
flop,
my friend Skate.
it's four-handed. Me,
Okay,
him.
four-handed.
Yep.
And
it's
what
gonna
happens on flop?
on the
So
flop?
let's
it's-
estimate the pot here. What's the pot in dollars right now?
the
Probably
pot
like
is
20?
it's gonna be like
No, like
15,
45 to 60, right?
like 50 something, 53, 52.
Okay, it's $50 and you've got you've got 100, let's say you've got 150 behind.
Oops, sorry.
How much do you have behind now?
I have about I had about 300, so I have
Okay, so you've got, let's say you're the effective, you're the effective stack here, so you're like, you have an SPR of 6. I really wanna know my SP on that. So I'm SPR 6. And we've got, and Don fought to check around.
Yeah, and flop it checked around, yeah.
Okay. And then we get the repeat ace.
Correct?
Alright, and
So,
then small blind checks.
yeah, let me look at my, no, a small blind is actually out of here. So
Okay.
small blind folded, as well as hijack and low jack.
Okay,
Yep.
so
it's-
we're the out of position player.
Mhm.
Gets UTG cut off in button. Okay, so are we gonna YOLO it here?
Yep, actually we are. Good guess. We're gonna bet 30 here. I don't know if I don't think I put it in the easy
So you-
replayer.
You B60 about, or B50? Bet about 60% pot or 50% pot?
30. I bet. Yeah, I bet a little bit over 50.
Okay,
Yeah, around 60. Yeah, yeah, just like you mentioned.
so let's look at the texture. So there's no made straights or flushes, right? There's lots of draws available, especially when you have 3 other ranges, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So you bet, how many colors do you get with your B60?
The amount it's $30.
Okay, how many colors do you get?
None. Everyone fold.
Oh, this is, okay. So the question is, do we get to make this play? Well, I think in theory, if you're gonna make this play, this hand does have some properties that we like, right? We've got outs to a 7. Can I see the flop again? And the turn is the ace, right? The ace offsuit ace. So I think in theory, we do have a gutter. And the other thing about the repeat ace is that it now has reduced the frequency of the aces of UTG and cutoff, which are most likely to have an ace here. And so I think it's great. YOLO it, man. I think the most important thing is that you've got 4 outs.
Yeah, and like that was my main reason for betting. I'm here in the spot where I maybe shouldn't be. There's all this money in the in the pot. It checks around the flop, or multi-way. Maybe he should be betting if he has an ace. Again, once the ace shows up, less of a chance of anybody having it. So maybe let me go ahead and represent.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
I just said erring on the side of aggression is better than erring on the side of passivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. It was spicy, but knowing what I know now, I would not call pre-flop, and it would probably be better to raise rather than call pre-flop, right? Maybe we can make an argument for that.
Oh, without a
but-
doubt. I think you raising there would be better than just flatting. And that's a hand like Larry went into his thing, but that's a hand that you want to play in position. Out of position, it's just really hard.
Yeah. I gave a thankful lecture, good enough.
Yeah, so folding, yep. Next time,
Yeah.
fold.
Larry,
Alright,
do you
guys.
have one? I don't want to leave in the
No,
dust.
I don't have one.
Okay.
I think,
So the-
I think I gotta go, but I can pass this
Yeah.
on to you guys.
I think we should call it.
All right, guys,
Yeah,
I thought this was just to summarize this, I'm gonna stop recording. I can do that.